And what's your message to the people who voted for those democracy parties?
Well, we're with them. I have a very good relationship, as you know, with President Xi. We're in the final throes of a very important deal. But at the same time, we want to see it go well in Hong Kong.
President Trump signing a bill yesterday in support of the Hong Kong protesters, the move setting off a warning from China to expect, quote, firm countermeasures. Pro-democracy activists have been rallying in the streets of the city since June. Let's bring in Nile Gardiner. He's the director of the Margaret Thatcher Center for Freedom at the Heritage Foundation, joining us now. So you heard President Trump trying to still offer that olive branch to President Xi, saying, look, we still have a good relationship. That in mind, how might China retaliate?
Well, good morning, Arthel. Happy Thanksgiving. I have to say, firstly, that this is the right move by the President, supporting the pro-democracy legislation that has gone through the House and the Senate. It is vital that the United States stands up to China in support of those in Hong Kong who are fighting for their own freedom. Certainly, of course, the government in Beijing is deeply unhappy about this development, but U.S. leadership matters. The United States must stand up for the principles of freedom and democracy, and the U.S. has a very clear interest in supporting those in Hong Kong who are fighting for their freedom. So certainly China is expressing great unhappiness over this move, but in practice it's hard to see actually how China will retaliate in any substantial way against the United States.
But what does it mean for the trade deal? What does this mean for the trade deal?
I don't think that the United States is linking this issue at all to the trade deal with China. I imagine that the negotiations are going to continue with China on the trade deal. This latest move by the United States, I don't think is going to have a huge impact on the big picture with regard to the trade deal. Let's face it, the Chinese badly want a trade deal with the United States, and I don't think that U.S. support for pro-democracy protesters is going to prevent a trade deal from happening eventually.
I want to read a statement from President Trump yesterday after signing the bill. Pop it on the screen for me. The president said, I signed these bills out of respect for President Xi, China, and the people of Hong Kong. They are being enacted in the hope that leaders and representatives of China and Hong Kong will be able to amicably settle their differences, leading to long-term peace and prosperity for all. And then House Speaker Nancy Pelosi reacting as well, saying this bicameral bipartisan law reaffirms our nation's commitment to democracy, human rights, and the rule of law in the face of Beijing's crackdown. America is proud to stand with the people of Hong Kong on the side of freedom and justice. Still, you've got consumers out there right now, Niall. It's Christmas time. We're doing shopping. This, in fact, starting today. With so many products made in China, what does this mean for consumers and businesses, small and large?
Well, I think, you have to separate clearly a trade deal and the negotiations over trade with the human rights issue in Hong Kong.
Understood.
And it is very striking that on both sides of the political aisle here in Washington, lawmakers are working together to stand in solidarity with the people of Hong Kong. And let's not forget that in 1984, Great Britain and China signed a declaration that would guarantee for 50 years the freedoms of the people of Hong Kong after the handover in 1997. Indeed. And what the United States is doing here is asking the Chinese government to simply live up to the declaration that is signed with the United Kingdom. This is a proper treaty that has been implemented. China must respect the principles of sovereignty, freedom, and self-determination. Right. And it's in China's interest, I think, to behave really as a power that respects the principles of freedom and self-determination here for the people of Hong Kong.
That remains to be seen, though. I mean, clearly President Trump is on the right side of democracy in Hong Kong. Will the U.S. get support from our allies, and how could they help to make sure that China remains on the right side of this?
Yeah, I think there is very strong support for the United States here, and I think you are going to see that support reiterated next week at the NATO summit in London, and President Trump will be heading to London on Monday. And I do believe there's very strong backing for the US position here from the entire free world. What's happening in Hong Kong is so incredibly important here, and China must not be allowed to get away with suppressing individual liberty and freedom in Hong Kong. So I do believe the entire free world stands with the United States, stands with the US president in leading on this issue. And also, I think you have, very importantly, very strong support from Great Britain. The UK also has a very big stake in what is happening in Hong Kong. And with Boris Johnson as a Prime Minister, you have very robust British support for the United States, and the special relationship remains incredibly strong at this time.
Nile Gardiner, we have to leave it there. We'll keep an eye on this, and we'll have you back. Thank you so much, and happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you very much. You too, Arthur. Thank you.